The Edible Bean School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Hensel Co-op.
Welcome to this episode of the Edible Bean School. We're in Altona, Manitoba at Bean Day, and pleased to be joined by Laura Schmidt of Manitoba Pulse and Soybean Growers. Laura is a production specialist with MPSG. And Laura, that involves working with farmers in on-farm research as part of MPSG's on-farm network. Can you fill us in on what's involved in this network, how it works, and I guess how producers can get involved in having their own research on-farm?
Sure. So our on-farm research network, we actually started that back in 2012. We really saw a need for us to validate some of these things we were learning from small plot research, to actually take that to the field scale. How does it actually perform in our fields when we've got field scale variability? We've got, field size equipment. We've got our own growing conditions in those fields. So that's where it started more than 10 years ago now. And now we've actually conducted more than 500 trials across Manitoba. Today we're going to be focusing on the dry bean ones a little bit more and how we do those. So there is fewer of those, but just as valuable information that we're learning from this. And it really is research funded by farmers through grower groups and also conducted by farmers. So you're really gaining a lot of confidence in those research results when they're actually performing on your own fields. So that's kind of the main goal and what we've been up to with that network a little bit.
So what would some examples of different agronomic issues or topics be that you would have looked at in the past through the research network?
So for dry beans, for the past couple of years here, we did first start with, can we fine-tune these fungicide decisions? And do we actually see that return on investment with fungicide applications on farm? So that's where it kind of started. But more recently, what we're really trying to get answers to, and across different environments in Manitoba as well, is what can we see for nitrogen rates on farm? Can we fine-tune this applied nitrogen that we're putting down? We are noticing a lot of our dry bean crops are actually forming nodules with the rhizobia in our soils. So what else can we do to promote that? Is it walking nitrogen rates back? Is it trying some of these inoculant products? Really all around that nitrogen nutrition. We've got some history of dry beans in our fields. We can definitely take advantage of that and fine-tune that nitrogen management decision. Among a few other things, like we are also just kind of testing one-off questions with farmers. If they've got a product or a practice they want to test, we can definitely accommodate that and help them find those answers on their farm.
Okay. Inoculants and different inoculant products would be another example of something that has been looked at in the past and will be again this year?
Yes. So with inoculant products for dry beans specifically, we don't have a ton of products available in Manitoba and Western Canada. So those products that we do have available, we want to see if they're actually working in our soils. And then kind of what do we see for biological nitrogen fixation in our dry bean crops? Because we normally don't give them a credit. So should we be giving them a credit when we're thinking about these fertility decisions? Have we kind of taken that for granted because they might be poor nitrogen fixers, but they're still fixing nitrogen, and we should take advantage of that or support that if we can. So that's why we're testing some of those inoculant products on farm at the field scale, and seeing some interesting results in that we're not seeing results so far because of some dry bean history that we've got in these fields. So, I guess that's the other part with the on-farm network that's really quite valuable, is in a lot of cases we might not see a yield response to some of the things we're testing, but in a lot of cases that means that's actually an input we can maybe walk back a bit, save some dollars there, maximize our profitability if we're not seeing a consistent yield response. So some of that is hopefully being answered by these replicated field scale trials.
Certainly this year, and we heard at the meeting today here at Bean Day, lots of interest in growing edible beans this year. Along with that, this on-farm research network presents an opportunity for growers to, like you said, conduct their own research and try to figure out some answers as to how to maximize profitability, maximize yields, and all the different aspects, margins when it comes to edible bean production here in the prairies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I really do think there are some of these management decisions we've been doing with dry beans that we've maybe taken for granted or just assumed that was the way we needed to do it. So there really is an option here to think about that a little bit more under more scrutiny, because we've got rising input prices. We do also have rising crop prices, but are they kind of accounting for that? Are we seeing some economic return here? So there's definitely an option to take, that fine-tooth comb and actually go through our different management options, see if they're providing that return on investment, but also some of these newer tools that are coming out to us. Let's see how they perform field scale and with our own environment in our fields.
So if I'm an edible bean grower watching this, I'm thinking, hey, I'd like to look into, nitrogen rates, or trying this new product, or maybe trying a different fungicide product, white mold issues. Maybe we'll get some moisture this year and have disease as a concern. How does a grower go about participating in this on-farm research work that you're doing?
So if they're a grower in Manitoba, that's easy. They reach out to us and we can kind of talk through that a little bit. Another tool that we developed, though, and I'll pull it up from the side here. So farmers that are interested in just conducting there we go, their own research on their farm, we do have a guide for how we actually set up these on-farm trials. So we don't have to be involved if you don't want us to be, but it is just a very clear-cut guide on how you would establish a trial, gain a lot of confidence in the results you're actually generating from that trial in your field. And it walks through all those different steps, even just like how you would select what you're testing. It's a very valuable resource, so I would direct you there if you're just looking for how to establish a trial. But we're also here as a resource to help farmers implement these trials. With the farmers that we talked to today, we've worked with a lot of them, so we're supporting that trial establishment, but we're also in there during the season collecting supporting data. So what are we seeing for nodulation on these dry beans if we're testing nitrogen or inoculant products? What are we seeing for lowest pod height changes? Some of those things. So that's, I think there is a lot of value in some of the data we're collecting as well. And we can also help out with the actual data summary, statistics, and the economic analysis at the end of the day to see whether that has changed your bottom line. So they are welcome to reach out to us. We've also got all of our results publicly available. So that's on our YouTube channel, manitobapulse.ca, links to it if you're looking for those. And there's quite a bit of information there. It's a bit of a gold mine.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. And we'll stay tuned to see some of the results from this ongoing research as it continues in the field in the upcoming season here, Laura. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Kelvin.